This is truly a somber moment as we all unite on the front lines of battle against anti-Semitism and other forms of hatred throughout the world. We want to honor the victims of the Holocaust right now in an unparalleled genocide which scars the history of the human race. Together we mourn the loss of 6 million Jews, so many children. The world has a duty to remember that the Holocaust was a systematic attempt to eliminate the Jewish people and so many others from the face of this earth. And I'm humbled by their journey. I'm humbled as I remember how they looked at the darkest scenario and then looked to the light. I want to pay tribute to these heroes. They've come home against all odds. Let's remember together. And saying never again, but saying we want to be a comfort to these who've been through so much, these victims of one of the greatest tragedies. Let's remember together what they've been through, honor the fact that they have looked into the face of the darkest smear on the human existence, and they have come out the other side as pioneers of this historic and modern prophetic fulfillment. God bless you as we together remember. What we're going to do right now, we're going to go meet Igor, or Yitzhak. Isaac is his name. And then we're going to go to his house, have a little coffee, and talk about some very, very hard to discuss subjects in the life of Yitzhak. Good to meet you.
Hey.
Nice to meet you. Good to meet you. Igor or Yitzhak, you like Isaac or Igor better?
Isaac easier, Igor אותו דבר. שם אני שם easier, או Igor. It's Yitzhak, סליחה.
So he actually was called Igor, but when he came to Israel, he used his Hebrew name Isaac. You have museum here?
Yes, פה.
They have a museum right under his house.
נוסעים למוזיאום, מיני מוזיאי, שם יש דגל פלאג, שהיה בברלין, שחיילים בגרמניה עושה ברייכסטאג. זה דגל יש פה.
We're going to see an actual flag from the Reichstag, from the Nazi party, that they would salute. And so we're going to see that right here below a Holocaust survivor's house.
יש союзники לכם, צה"לים אמריקה, אנגליה, פרנציה וסובייטский союз. Да.
Yeah, England, France, America, all were part of the liberation of people like him.
הם עושים בברלין, עושה שם שלום, כן.
It is Holocaust Remembrance Day here in Israel, which in Hebrew, of course, is Yom Lezicharon HaShoah ve'Lagvura. So it's not only remembering the Holocaust, it's remembering the heroes who fought to liberate the camps, stories of those who have survived are being told. And we're here with Yitzhak, or as the name he had to change to hide to, Igor. Good to meet you, Yitzhak. Being here below your apartment and seeing all of the history is marvelous. It's actually very real to us, the fact that the Holocaust happened and that heroes arose to fight against a great evil. So can I ask you, when did you make your Aliyah to Israel?
I made Aliyah in 1991.
I know that many people don't realize that anti-Semitism was not only in Nazi Germany. There was anti-Semitism throughout many places in the world, and these different influences were trying to rob, kill, and destroy the Jewish people.
No one knew the war was starting. I was only 8 years old when the war started. We were living in Chechnya, the Moldovan capital. The train station was disabled and there was no way for us to escape. So we had to escape on foot.
To come to Israel?
We were evacuated in order to get further away from the border. Because Moldova is along the border and was one of the first to be invaded. As soon as we arrived in Nestra, the fascist planes came in fast. As we were traveling in a big line walking together, the fascist planes flew in very low so they could kill everyone in the line. As I lifted up my head, I saw a fascist pilot laughing as he was killing everyone. Everyone was running and trying to escape, saying, "Get down, get down." When we finally got up off the ground, my mom was looking for my dad, Baruch, and my older brother, Pinchas, and they were nowhere to be found. She was calling them, "Baruch, Pinchas," but she could not find them. A government official said, "Don't worry, we will help you to escape and help you to be reunited with your family." During this time, my father and brother were lost because we did not see them again. So we were put on a train that was the last time that I saw my dad and my brother.
And this train was to escape from Moldova. So yet you had to escape quickly because of the fascist armies. You had to quickly escape on the train. I understand. Okay.
We were crammed into the train very quickly by the soldiers. We had no space or way to be comfortable. The train was traveling at top speed for 4 days without stopping anywhere. Because of these circumstances, my sister died on that train before it ever stopped. Her name was Lisa. She was a model. Very beautiful. There was no food for many days, and many people died on that train. After one short stop, we were taken to Uzbekistan. My youngest brother died when we got to Uzbekistan. Only my mother, my two sisters, and myself survived this trip. We were taken to an agricultural space called Budui.
And how many in the family total? It was 6 children? 6 children and 2 parents, and 3 died and 3 survived, including you?
Yes, half of my family died and half were lost, nowhere to be found. My mom was always looking and asking about my dad and my brother. But anyone she asked always said they just disappeared and cannot be found. A miracle happened in 1943. My dad that had been lost and gone for years. My dad had actually survived the bombing and joined a military railroad unit. During his work on the railroad, he got injured and was sent to a hospital in Uzbekistan. And because he was not a registered soldier, he thought, I will use this opportunity to look for my family. It was a special moment when we met our dad again. One day he saw me on my way to school and started calling my name and saying to me, Yitzchak, Yitzchak, it's me, your father. I saw him, but did not recognize him because he was so skinny and had a big beard. So I called out to Mama, Mama, come see. Even Mom came out and didn't recognize him, but finally she did. And they were hugging and crying, and she was saying, Baruch, you're back.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna go and set up a really beautiful lighting over in his house. Come on upstairs. We're gonna. There we are. Yes. Come on in. It's wonderful to be able to have Igor, or I like to really call him by his Hebrew name, Isaac, Yitzchak. And so here we are. We're gonna set up the whole lighting up there, and the place is full of pioneers, really. The entire place here is filled with pioneers. Everyone has a story of going through horrors and then coming out the other side as a pioneer. Wow, each of the pictures tell so many stories. We won't have enough time to tell everything, but let's get to his house. And how hospitable is he? Thank you for your hospitality. All right. Thank you so much for welcoming us into your house and seeing what a rich life, what a life filled with honor and medallions and serving in the armed forces. Thank you so much for sharing your life with us. Before we hear more of your family story, which we want to hear, we wanted to give you a small gift. And all the prophets, they spoke of a time where the Jewish people would return home and they would plant vineyards and they would make wine, like Prophet Amos, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Isaiah, and so on. And we know that it's happening in Israel. The wine is coming from the hills of this land. You are like this. You've been through a hardship, but out is coming good things. So your brother joined to help fight against Hitler and his friends, the fascists. Your brother joined the army to liberate other Jewish people.
My brother that we thought was dead actually survived the bombing where the fascist planes came in, and he woke up from his unconscious state with no one around him. As he came to a road, he saw an army personnel carrier towing an artillery cannon and waved them down and told them he just lost his whole family in the bombing. He was only 16, but he pretended to be 18 so that they would take him with them. And as they were taking him with them, a fascist army unit showed up and started shooting at them, firing on them. So they said, "You're hired. Now help us reload this cannon," because he was a strong boy and he was very, very well able. As soon as the unit accepted him, one of their own asked them, "What's your name?" And he said, "My name's Pinchas." And they said, "That's no good. Your name is now Peter. We don't want you to get into trouble with that name."
Peter instead of Pinchas, yeah.
And the second question, they said, "What is your family name?" And he says, "Becker." And they said, "Oh no, that's a German last name. You can't have that here. We're going to need to change it." So they asked him, "Do you have any suggestions of a name you would like?" And he said, "How about Tsukhanov?" And he said, "Now you'll be called Peter Tsukhanov." So this is the reason why Pinchas Becker was never found, because he was registered as an 18-year-old Moldavian Peter Tsukhanov. After the war, all the heroes came back to Moldova with their war decorations and their honors in a big parade. there was a parade held in their honor, and Pinchas was there, but we didn't know he was there. We decided to go and attend the parade and see if possibly our brother would be in this parade. Me and my dad went to the parade in hope that somehow Pinchas was alive and with the war heroes, but we didn't find him. Sadly, my father wept and wouldn't look up. He kept on weeping and burying his head in his hands because he was in despair. But someone kept on tapping his shoulder, saying, "Papa, Papa." It was Pinchas. He was alive. It was unbelievable. It was a great and glorious day, that day for our family, to see our family reunited. It was a special moment.
We know during this time throughout Israel, many people will be lighting candles like this, and they will be remembering some of the fallen ones. And even as you light a candle and remember your wife Mina, who passed away, we thought this scented candle would be a nice little token, a gift from lovers, people who love you from around the world. And this is, it's a candle. It's like the candles in the time of the Bible, and it has a good smell. And as you remember your friends who've passed away and your wife who's passed away, we thought this would be just a sign of love from many people around the world and standing with you.
I appreciate this very much, and I will show my daughter.
Throughout this very, very hard time where people didn't have any faith, they didn't have any hope, some people wanted to help others, and some people didn't lose their faith in God or in the future. And how was it for you that you held on to hope?
Most people didn't know that Israel was reborn, and it was also forbidden to talk about Israel or anything Jewish. Because of persecution. So it was kept a secret amongst most people. But my parents always talked about it to us and gave us hope that someday, somehow, we would come to Israel, the land of the free, and live in Israel in freedom and with our own people in peace.
There's a verse in Isaiah 42, verse 22, I'd like to read really quick. It says, "These are a people that are robbed, plundered, imprisoned, and trapped." Talking about the Jewish people. It says, "They've become a plunder with no one to rescue them, and none to say, 'Restore.'" And this verse touched the hearts of many people who follow the Messiah around the world. They said, "We will say, 'Restore.'" So people that heard of the Aliyah Return Center, they said, "We want to be part of restoration." And so people will come and Christians, and they will give earring or necklace or bracelet or watch. They will give much like what was stolen from the Jewish people. Houses were stolen, jewels were stolen, paintings were stolen, but now there are people giving freely towards this restoration. So today, I think we're living in a miracle time. God's will is happening today as the Jewish people return and make Aliyah like you did. And people have come to give gold so we can melt it down and make a restoration ring. So this ring here, I'll show you. It says, Amcha Ami ve'Elohaich Elohai. Your God is my God, your people is my people. And so we wanted to give this to you on behalf of many Christians who love you, and God bless you. Here we go. Let's put this on your finger. wow, hey, I wanted to say thank you for all you've done for Israel and for making Aliyah and for being a part of the fulfillment and part of the hope. It's an honor it's a very big pleasure to be able to meet you.
The Fountain of Tears, a dialogue of suffering. The Fountain of Tears is a sculptured dialogue of suffering between the crucifixion and the Holocaust. The Fountain of Tears is a wall 60 feet long and 12 feet high. It has 7 panels made of Jerusalem stone and 6 pillars of field stones. Facing each one of the panels are 7 life-size bronze figures. The title, The Fountain of Tears, is taken from a verse in the Bible from the book of Jeremiah. The prophet is crying out to God, "O Lord, that my head were a spring of water, and my eyes a fountain of tears, that I would weep day and night for the slain of my people." The 7 panels are high sculptures, each depicting a different crucifixion scene. Each crucifixion panel relates to each of the last 7 statements spoken by Jesus in the last moments of his life. The 6 pillars of stones act as dividers between each of the 7 panels. These pillars represent a memorial to the 6 million Jews who perished in the Holocaust. The 7 bronze figures symbolize a Holocaust survivor. His head is shaved and he's dressed in the striped clothing of the concentration camps. Each figure is responding and identifying to each word spoken from the crucifixion.
I said to the Lord at one point, how do I create a memorial to the Holocaust if I don't have memory? I'm not a Jew. I have nobody in my ancestry that went through the Holocaust. And then I pushed it further and I went, I'm from Canada, like I need to tell her. But it's like, I'm from Canada, even geographically, as a non-Jew, if I'd been born in France, I would have had a national memory. A national memory. Right. Every European country was touched by the Holocaust somehow. Holland, Poland, whatever. But I'm not from any of those places. But geographically, Canada, forget it. It wasn't touched. So I said to the Lord, and for a moment, after a year of struggling over this thing, how do you create a memorial if you don't have memory? It makes total sense. And for a moment, I felt completely justified in, forget it, I don't need to respond this time. But within that moment, again, very strong, I felt like the Lord spoke 3 words to me. He said, but I do. I have a memory of every child, every man, every woman, every train car, every killing, every killing pit, every gas chamber, every cry, every tear. I have a memory of it all. You create from my memory, not from yours. And that was it. I had to respond. I had to. And I thought, I knew within myself I didn't, but that was the first part of the dying of my nature. I have to give this all up. I have to respond. So it all started there. That was the trigger.
Well, it is truly a phenomenal thing, which I think heaven will hold for all those who are going there, to be able to hear these stories and hear the inner struggles which the prophets and the young and the old, the rich and the poor, who are followers of this, finding this eternal city, finding this heavenly Jerusalem, and the journey there, the progress there is something that is each one is going to have a different version, and sometimes one's journey affects another person's journey. And that's the beauty of finding the connection points of, wow, I never realized that this and this and this led to a fulfillment of a destiny of someone.
Right.
But one thing I like when you said about the response, because if we decide to not respond, hey, you may go to heaven, but you're throwing your whatever destiny you had, or the perfect will, throwing that away because you wouldn't take the road less traveled. You have taken the road definitely less traveled. In fact, I've never heard in any literature or in any form of movie or anything a connection like this between extreme pain of the Holocaust and the crucifixion and the ongoing destiny that God wants to bring the nations in Israel together and form a love where not only never forget, where this would never again happen, but hey, what is the peace that we can see and the glory that we can see beyond the pain?
See, the sense of the nations, that's one of the things that has really shocked us, because in the beginning, just like what I said, I had no intention of making this public, but we've had so many different nations. Just nations that have shown up that are islands somewhere in the Pacific that I've never heard of before.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you begin to realize the significance. And in a way, you feel like the communication to the group, you're hoping that they get the understanding that this is birthed out of the heart of the Father. This is his memory. These are his tears over this land and over specifically the Holocaust. And this is an intercession for those within the nations.
Yes.
So this is why now we've done a piece called The Four Winds. And it's all to do with the nations. And I'm using the figure of mother, this is your son, the one that's carrying the burden, this heavy cloth on him, who is the centerpiece, but there are four representations. There's 2 females, 2 males. One represents Europe, and she's holding the cloth on her knees. There's another woman that's standing up, and almost like in a dance, like wind blowing through them. And she represents the Americas, and their arms are interlocked together, and behind the figure representing the Holocaust, it's a tall African man, and his arm interlinks with the Chinese, with an Asian-looking personality. And it's like they all form, in a sense, a protective wall. There is no sense of manipulation on them. There is no sense of, we're now going to convince the Jews into our theology and how they need to be and how they need to behave. It's a sense of comfort ye my people. But the circle closes around them and in a sense protects them. But the Jewish person in the center, the survivor, lives with his own memory. But they in a way are present, but not obtrusive.
Right. I think that sensitivity in it all is so important. Even Israel being called the foremost of the nations, and having the nations not belittle it, hurt it, attack it, come against it. Zechariah 14. But to instead having this love, this appreciation, this surrounding, this hug, I think it's phenomenal that you are able to walk this balance and be the vessel that you are, and also being a Bezalel, a craftsman, being a Zerubbabel, doing the holy work, building a place where people's lives can be touched in a very deep way from all over the world. Thank you for being who you are and continuing this path, and even to other places in the world. It's very much an honor for you to take this time with us. And as we're all looking towards that goal, I think the worst thing that we could do is to miss our destiny, and we can't miss out on our part in the great plan that God has for all of us together. And let's allow that journey to begin in our life, where we ask the questions that are hard to ask. Thank you so much, Rick Whittaky.
Thank you.